Good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning. Man, I hope that everyone had a wonderful weekend. I hope you got you some church in on Sunday, Lord willing, or even on Saturday. I know this. We got some medicine. Are you ready for your morning medicine to start us off this week? Today's prescription comes from Proverbs chapter 10, verse 18. The one who conceals hatred has lying lips. Whoever spreads slander is a fool. The one who conceals hatred has lying lips. This morning, for our morning medicine, I want us to really think about this. Rather be that you have this, holding this on the inside, or you may come around about this in the future. But oftentimes, I'm not even going to say oftentimes, I'm going to say it is very tempting for us to conceal hatred. And I want to use this conceal hatred today like this, that we have an issue with somebody, and it's easy for us to conceal it. We feel some type of way, and we conceal it. We act as if everything is okay, and it's not. In other words, I'm concealing the way I feel about something. That's just showing you got lying lips. Because you speak to that person as if everything's okay, but your heart says something else. And so for our morning medicine, I want to focus on avoiding the conversation. Avoiding the conversation. What do I mean by the conversation? The conversation you need to have of what's bothering you up in your heart. Why do we have the tendency to avoid it? Why do we have the tendency to let it rot us on the inside and act as if everything's okay on the outside? Why do we avoid the conversation? Because the Bible here says you conceal it in your heart, but then let somebody else bring it up. You'll spread things and talk about it. That's what the Bible calls slander. Because how can you talk about that to somebody else and never talk about it to that person? I'm going to pause on that. I got to look you in your eyes. I want you to hear it in your ears. How can we do that? How? It's like Jesus when he had a problem with Peter. When Peter said, man, now, Lord, sure you're not going to die. The Lord let Peter know, get behind thee. You don't have the things of God on mind. The Lord didn't hide that. When the Lord spoke to people, he didn't hide it. He didn't conceal it. It's different from choosing not to respond to foolishness than concealing the way I feel about somebody. Bitterness, offense, whatever the case may be, than concealing it in my heart and acting as everything is okay. There's a difference between that. Because sometimes not responding to the fool sometimes let them know what they're saying is foolishness. That I don't have even time to go back and forth. But that's not the focus for our morning medicine. The focus of our morning medicine is that when we have an issue, we avoid the conversation about the issue with that person. We avoid it. We avoid the conversation. I'm reminded when Moses came down from the mountain in the book of Exodus, and Aaron was down there building golden calves for them. Moses had to come down there and have that conversation with him. He couldn't avoid it. Aaron, I feel some type of way about what you have done. Moses couldn't avoid that conversation because there was still a journey for him to walk. There were still things that God had for him to do, and he could not afford to harbor things in his heart. No, I need my heart pure. David said, Lord, cleanse, give me a new heart and a steadfast spirit. I don't want anything in my heart that hinders me from hearing you. And I want us to focus on that for our morning medicine. Why do we avoid the conversation? They over there building golden calves, and we don't want to speak to them about an issue we have with it. And oftentimes, let me even say it like, let me open it up like this. Because you may be thinking in your mind, man, you don't understand. Because if I go talk to them, man, they ain't trying to hear me. That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. We can't avoid the conversation with people because we think that they're not trying to hear us. That's irrelevant. We can easily talk ourselves out of having the conversation. That's a tactic of avoiding. How about you let them know? And I got it. I hear you. I hear you talking about that person, man. You don't understand how they are. So you're going to just let that thing harbor in your heart? Sometimes, look at this. We'll stay with a person because we avoiding the conversation. So I'd rather just stay with them instead of breaking it off with them. So I'd rather just drag them along because somewhere in me, I'm afraid to have this conversation. I'm avoiding the conversation. So then you just drag them along? That don't make any sense. See, we have to come to this place that we got to stop with all of this hiding and concealing things. We got to come to this place where we got to stop with all of that. And that if I got an issue with somebody, I need to go speak to them and talk to them about it. The Lord tells us if you got an issue with your brother, he said, man, go talk to him about it. He said, go talk to them about it. And oftentimes, look at this, oftentimes, we don't talk to them. It's not because of their immaturity, because it's some things happen, some immaturity with me. Why don't I want to go talk to them about it? And I'm telling you, some people are hard to talk to. That's why we got to be careful with our tone. We got to be prayed up when we talk to these people about it. God, give me the words. Lord, help my heart. Help me know when it's time to just, hey, you know what? I appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it, sister. I just want to let you know what's up on my heart. I don't want to harbor that. So I pray that you receive it. I pray that you go to God with it. And you got to keep it moving. But look at my tone. Because sometimes the reason why is because God is also trying to show us some things about ourselves, about how we approach things. And I learned that because I can be passionate. I can be passionate, but God had to teach me how to hone in that passion when I'm having that conversation with people. And I'm telling you, it's easy for us to avoid the conversation. You need to have the conversation with that person. Why let that thing eat you up inside and you never say anything to that person? And sometimes people don't even know there's an issue. Sometimes they can't even see the issue. And we assume that they know. Man, they already know. No, you can't assume that. Because sometimes we allow ourselves to assume that because we're avoiding the conversation. I got it. It's a tough one. I got it. Trust me, I got it. But that's when we need to pray. Not only for ourselves, but pray for their hearts as well. Sometimes to have that conversation, you a manager, you don't want to have that conversation with your subordinate because some of us I don't like any type of that. I don't want to talk to them about them being late. So you're going to keep letting them be late? God is working your boldness, that you be more bold because you somehow don't want to be in any type of confrontation. It's not about being in a confrontation. It's not about that. But you have to learn to deal with some strife. You got to learn to deal with that. I got it. Your makeup, you're saying, man, I'm just not really a confrontational person. But what's in your heart, you're just going to let this issue keep going by. It's not about being confrontational. It's about addressing the issue. And when I address the issue, that is me releasing it from me. I don't have to keep going back and forth. I don't have to do that. But I do owe that person to let them know that that is an issue. If our goal is to help people be better, as the Lord help us be better, how could I harbor it? Why do I let that just sit in my heart? It's eating me up. And sometimes it eats us up to where we start taking it out on everybody else. Because I'm avoiding the conversation with this one person and I take it out on every other person. No, it's time to stop avoiding the conversation. Pray to God and ask God to help build you up to be able to have that conversation. Don't try to have that conversation. Let me give you some tips. Don't try to have that conversation in public. How about you pull them off to the side one-on-one? How about you wait for a better opportunity? And some conversations need to be had in person if you're able to. Because sometimes we say, hey, you know what? Well, I text them. I called them on the phone. Okay, you know what? I appreciate that you're moving up. But sometimes we avoid by doing it through other means when we know we need to have that face-to-face. So I'm just saying for this morning medicine, we have to stop avoiding the conversation. Rather be parent to child, the conversation need to be had. Issues the conversation need to be had. We owe it to them. Because we owe it to God. Why let it sit on your heart? Why let bitterness spring up on the inside? The book of Hebrews, I forgot the exact scripture, but it says, do not let bitterness spring up in your heart. It says it opens up the door for the evil one. Let us stop concealing these feelings. No, it's time to have that conversation. So this is for our morning medicine. I got it. Your boss is the way he is. That don't mean you still can't have the conversation. Lord, anoint your tongue, anoint your heart, and Lord, we pray for their hearts. Even if they don't receive it, trust God that God will work and his word will never come back void. This is your morning medicine. It not only helps them, but it also helps you. I got too much going on for me to carry stuff I don't need to be carrying. God bless you all. Stop avoiding the conversation.